everyone, welcome to another edition of Bev's Footy Tips. This one for round 5 of the 2022 AFL season. It's Easter round, so happy Easter to all of you out there. I hope it's a happy time for you all. But anyway, it's time to get straight into the video. Lots to get through, so let's go. Firstly, I want to announce the round 4 winner of the Bev Show tipping comp. It's a big congratulations to Lockie C, the coach of That's Racist. He correctly guessed 7 out of the 9 matches correct. Whoa! You beauty, Lockie! You ripper dipper legend! Well done to you, mate. Congratulations. Top stuff. And this is how the leaderboard looks after 4 rounds of footy. The top 6 are all on 26 total tips. So Prout House leads, Carn the Baggers, then followed by Hayden Burke, Talking AFL, Tomcats and Cade Fagan rounds out the top 6 there. As I said, the top 6 all on 26 total tips. It's a pretty close leaderboard there, as you'd expect. Time to take a look at how many tips I guessed correct in round 4. Starting with the first game, I tipped Melbourne to beat Port Adelaide. I tipped Brisbane to defeat Geelong. I tipped Sydney to defeat North Melbourne. I tipped Collingwood to defeat West Coast. I tipped my Doggies to defeat Richmond. What is going on with the Doggies right now? I tipped Freo to defeat GWS. I tipped Essendon to defeat Adelaide. I tipped Hawthorn to defeat St Kilda. I am embarrassed. I am absolutely embarrassed that I tipped Hawthorn in that game. Very embarrassed. And in the final game of the round, I tipped Carlton to defeat Gold Coast. Bit of an upset there. So, just the 4 games tipped correctly out of 9. That is a woeful effort by me. An absolute shambolic effort by me, the Bev Show. I need to do better. I need to be aiming for between 7 to 9 tips in round 5. I currently sit on 21 total tips. I need to lift my game. Let's get into my round 5 tips now, starting with the traditional Easter Thursday clash. It's Brisbane taking on Collingwood at the Gabba, 7:35 p.m. start time. Obviously, Brisbane lost their first game of the season last week to Geelong, who were the far better team on the night, but I don't think Brisbane will lose any admirers. It was a good game of footy. They were in the contest for most of the night. Collingwood, well, they won their first 2. They were playing some good footy. They've lost their last 2, though, including to West Coast last week, in a game where they had their chances, but they struggled to score there in the last quarter, and that was probably the difference in the end. Now they've got to go over to the Gabba. Brisbane are always hard to beat at the Gabba. They've got Myercheck out, which is a huge loss. I can't see Collingwood winning this one. I think anyone tipping Collingwood is brave, because Brisbane are usually very hard to beat over there at the Gabba. So I'm tipping Brisbane. The margin, I'm going to go 30 points. Collingwood, good team. They're not the worst in the competition for sure, but Brisbane are just so hard to beat at the Gabba, so I'm going to tip them by 30 points. The first of 2 Friday matches, it's North Melbourne taking on the Western Bulldogs, 4:20 p.m. start time at Marvel Stadium. Of course, this game is for the Good Friday appeal, so it's for a great cause. Both teams sitting on 1 win and 3 losses. North Melbourne, they put in a pretty competitive performance against the Swans last Saturday. They probably should have won that game in the end, to be honest. I think they were the better team for most of it, but they just let themselves down there towards the end with some silly mistakes. The Swans will count themselves lucky after winning that game. And the Western Bulldogs, well, they were disappointing, losing to Richmond last Saturday night. Obviously, inaccuracy hurt them, but I thought they were poor in defence, and their midfield needs to step it up as well. So, yeah, I'm not ruling the Dogs out of finals, but their next month is vital, and it needs to start with a win on Friday at Marvel against North Melbourne. Of course, I'm going to tip the Doggies. Surely they're going to beat the Kangas. I'd be very saddened if North Melbourne beat them, and I'm not taking North lightly because, like I said, they were very competitive last Saturday. But the Dogs for me. The Friday night match is at Optus Stadium, 7:40pm start time. It's the West Coast Eagles taking on the Sydney Swans. Of course, these two teams famously met in the 2005 and 2006 grand finals. They've played out some ripping games over the years. The West Coast Eagles, they're coming into this game off the back of their first win of the season. It was a gutsy win against Collingwood away from home last Saturday. The Swans have been a bit shaky the last couple of games. They lost to the Dogs, and then they were close to losing to North Melbourne last Saturday, but they just had enough class in the finish to get the job done. They now make the trip over to Perth. It's not going to be easy, but I do rate the Swans the better team. So I am going to tip the Swannies. I'm not confident with that tip. I think the game could go either way, but yeah, I rate the Swannies the better team, so I'm going to go with Sydney. The first of 3 Saturday matches is St Kilda taking on the Gold Coast Suns. It's an afternoon game at Marlboro Stadium, 1:45pm start time. Really impressed with what I've seen from St Kilda the last 3 weeks, in particular last Sunday when they were able to smash Hawthorn from start to finish, kick 22 goals and win the game by a very big margin. It was a very impressive performance. And they're taking on the Suns, who are also coming into this off the back of a fine performance as well, beating Carlton. Given this game's in Melbourne, though, and given I rate St Kilda the better team, I have to tip St Kilda in this one. The twilight game on Saturday is the Adelaide Crows taking on Richmond, 4:35pm start time at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows, they nearly beat Essendon last Sunday. And the Tigers, well, they're coming into this off the back of a good win against my beloved Western Bulldogs. It's going to be interesting watching Richmond. I think they can make the finals, but I question whether they are consistent enough. They put together a good win against the Giants in round 2. Then they got smashed by St Kilda in the end in round 3. And then they put together a good performance against the Doggies in round 4. I expect them to beat the Crows here. But yeah, consistency is a query for mine when it comes to Richmond. But they should be able to beat the Crows there at the Adelaide Oval on Saturday, so tipping them to win that one. The Saturday night match is at the MCG, the home of footy. Melbourne taking on GWS, 7:25pm start time. Look at that, 1%. 1% have tipped GWS, and I think that's fair enough because Melbourne, they're the benchmark at the moment. They're the team to beat. They're the reigning premiers for a reason, and they're 4-0, the only team undefeated now, top of the ladder. GWS, they were disappointing against the Dockers in the end. They were in that contest for a while, but in the last quarter, the Dockers just went boom and put GWS to bed, basically. And they now have to go from Perth back to Sydney and then to Melbourne. So a bit of travel going on for GWS. Can't see them beating Melbourne. D's should be winning. They should be winning well. The first of 2 games on Easter Sunday is Carlton taking on Port Adelaide, 1:40pm start time at the MCG. Looking forward to this one. Carlton, of course, coming into this off the back of their first loss of the season. It was to the Gold Coast Suns away from home in their first interstate game of the season. Pitternet and Cripps proved to be big losses in that game because they won the clearances out of the centre and out of the stoppages so frequently in the first 3 rounds, but not so in the loss. So I think they get Pitternet back this week, which will be a huge inclusion. Of course, they're going to be without Paddy Cripps, as we know. They're taking on Port Adelaide, who are just shambolic at the moment, 0-4, bottom of the ladder. They were so poor against the D's last week, and their forward structure is a bit of a worry for mine. But in saying that, though, I wouldn't be surprised if Port Adelaide win this game. I have a bit of a feeling in my stomach that Port Adelaide might get their first win of the season this weekend, but I don't have the guts to tip them. So I'm going with Carlton. I'm playing it safe. I'm tipping the Blues to win this one. But, something... I just had that feeling that Port Adelaide might register their first win this week. The 4:40pm game at Marvel Stadium is between Essendon and Fremantle. The Bombers, they needed to win against the Crows last weekend, and they did just that, albeit by a narrow margin. They're up against the Dockers. I've been impressed with what I've seen from Freo. In particular, the last game against the Giants, where it was a tough game throughout. They were challenged throughout the whole game by the Giants, but I just loved that last quarter where they went boom. Point the difference with 10 minutes to go, piled on 6 goals, and put GWS to bed. It was quite explosive, I thought, from a team that has struggled to score so quickly in games in the past, in recent seasons. So, who am I tipping in this one? I'm actually quite surprised that only 36% have tipped the Dockers, because I think, I know it's at Marvel, but I do rate the Dockers a better team. So, I'm going to tip Freo. I know that might be a big call given it is in Melbourne, but I'm going to tip Freo. I just think they're going a lot better than the Bombers right now. And the final game of what is a massive Easter round of AFL footy, it's Hawthorn taking on Geelong. This is the traditional Easter Monday clash. It's at the MCG, 3:20 p.m. start time. Hawthorn were pretty disappointing against St Kilda last weekend. The Cats, well, they were good against Brisbane. They got the win. Going to keep this pretty short and sharp. I do expect the Cats to be too strong for the Hawks at the MCG on Easter Monday. So that's my tips for round 5. Just recapping them. I'm tipping Brisbane by 30 points. I'm tipping the Western Bulldogs, the Sydney Swans, St Kilda, Richmond, Melbourne, Carlton, Fremantle, and Geelong. So there you go. They are my tips for round 5 of the 2022 AFL season. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below your tips for the round ahead. I do love reading your comments. And please press that subscribe button. Would really appreciate that greatly. Once again, enjoy your Easter. I hope it's a happy time for you all. And until next time, bye for now. Go the Doggies!